Google Pixel, my oldest nemesis. I think it's one of the most overrated phones of all time. It's crappy, it's expensive, and it rips off directly the best phone of all time, except it lacks all of its greatest features, and yet it came out after the iPhone 7. If you haven't seen my rant video on the Google Pixel, you definitely need to. I really rip it hard. And of course, the Pixel is coming out with a sequel, a new phone at the end of this year. There's been rumors going around about it, and I'm pretty sure, based on the hardware decisions the Pixel team made last year, I can predict quite a lot about this year's. So first of all, a lot of people have made rumors and concepts of it already. Some in particular I think are exactly right. Pixel, of course, is gonna stay with the times, obviously, and be like every other smartphone this year, except the OnePlus 5, and widen their display so it's a bit more edge to edge. But of course, this is the Google Pixel we're talking about here. Nothing about the Pixel is exclusive, so you're not gonna see things like the curved edges on the Galaxy S8. You may get rounded corners, probably, but this is going to look like the LG G6, the first phone to switch to a 2:1 aspect ratio at the very beginning of the year. Pixel will just now keep up in October when it comes out, except this time, of course, they already had on-screen buttons, so it's not that big of a deal. It's just the display looks a little bit better, and it will be a little bit nicer to not have that giant and noticeable chin at the bottom that's completely wasted space. Hopefully they widen the display a little bit, and that turns out to not be so bad. However, there's a few features that the iPhone 7 has had all year, and I still don't think the Google Pixel is going to add them. For one, stereo speakers. I don't think the Pixel team values that. Someone at Google used to when the Nexus 6P came out. That had great stereo speakers, but I don't think they'll continue that. And because the Pixel phone was really good at being last year's phone, as in it would be pretty cool if it came out 12 months earlier, my guess is this Google Pixel 2 will be IP67 water resistant. So not completely waterproof like the iPhone Edition or the iPhone 7S's are going to be, hopefully hitting an IP68. This is going to be a step behind, but of course everyone will say that's basically waterproof and say it's just as good. Even though when the iPhone 7 comes out, we look at that and compare it to the Galaxy phones and say, it's not as waterproof, so it's not as good. Because of course, all the rules are different for Apple. Personally, I don't even think we're gonna get a dual camera. Google on last year's phone didn't even value optical image stabilization. They said, oh no, digital is gonna fix all of that. We have computers that can stabilize your shaky hands. We don't wanna build a lens that can actually optically stabilize your footage. That's too difficult. And if they are going to add a dual camera, it'll likely be just like the iPhone lineup, and it'll only be on the larger model, because I'm anticipating the Pixel 2 will come in two sizes that are a little bit too close together. Like the small one is 5.5 inches and the big one is 5.9 or 6 inches, something like that, when they're just kind of not that different. And you know, it would surprise me if they added wireless charging. Why would that surprise me, even though all the other developers this year are adding that? Because they could have very easily added it last year. This is Google. Think of how much money they have. And we all saw the leaks of the first Google Pixel when it had glass on the back, but not the entire back, you know, just part of it. We all thought that, hey, maybe that part would be used for wireless charging so that you could drop it onto a charging plate, and there you go. But they didn't do that. Turns out that they just made like 3/7 of the phone glass because it looks different. I was so confused by that. Why, it's aluminum and glass, just pick one. So this year they might add it if they're smart. If they really want the Pixel 2 to be a worthy upgrade, they would add it, but I didn't think the first Pixel was a worthy phone at all, so it wouldn't surprise me if they were like, no, we hadn't figured out wireless charging yet. But by then, of course, Apple will have it figured out. Samsung's been doing it for years anyway. But of course, we'll excuse the Pixel because, hey, it's directly from Google, and that makes it okay. That makes it pure because it runs stock Android. Ooh, how brave, Google. How impressive. The fingerprint reader is obviously going to be on the back. The Pixel team is so far behind hardware-wise, I'm not anticipating they're gonna build it into the display. We're still not even sure if Apple and Samsung are gonna do that. That sounds like a pretty complicated task that you're gonna leave for the big boys. And the Pixel was not impressive in any way. So I don't care how high reported your Pixel camera reviewers scored your phone. One person in a different country said our phone camera is the best camera, so we should all blindly trust them, even though we've never relied on them in the past. Yeah, no. Compare the depth effect settings you can get on a Galaxy S8 or the portrait mode settings you could get on an iPhone 7 Plus. They blow the Pixel out of the water, okay? No one cares that much about how many pixels you can stuff into an image. Very rarely do consumers actually notice, like, oh hey, HDR setting. But that blurred effect that makes it look like film is just, it's unparalleled. And the Pixel 2 is going to be completely overshadowed by the Galaxy Note 8, which is reportedly coming out before the iPhone now. That supposedly has a dual camera, and it's going to be Samsung's follow-up to that explosive Note 7, so the pressure is on. They're going to make sure the price is good, and it's going to have a ton of great features. And in terms of the Android market, I think the Note 8 is going to dominate this winter, and the Pixel 2 is going gonna be, I guess. One rumor I find very hard to believe, but it would be hilarious if it were true. It was reported a long time ago, and it might happen. The Google Pixel 2 might actually remove the headphone jack. Yes, all these other Android developers are keeping it around because we believe users should have the option, and then confusing the headphones market and the consumer market because now they don't know who to make headphones for, and maybe to help with waterproofing or something, expand the battery life. I don't know why you're doing it, but they could remove the headphone jack because obviously their design team admires Apple. Just look at the Pixel. They wanted to make their own version of an iPhone, so if the competition you're replicating removes a feature, you should remove it too, right? Oh, I'd be so happy, especially because at the last keynote where they unveiled the Pixel, they made fun of Apple for removing it. Said our phone is clearly better because we included the headphone jack, even though we put it in the wrong spot, and we didn't include headphones with the purchase, which by the way, Pixel 2 isn't including headphones in the purchase. You're gonna get two storage options. You're gonna get 64 gigs or 128, and no, the Pixel 2 will not have expandable storage. They could have done that the first time. They're not gonna do it this time. They're gonna brag about some kind of RAM improvement, like now it has 6 gigabytes of RAM and the same Snapdragon processor that we've got on all phones this year. And once again, big Google YouTubers like MKBHD will look at it and say, you know, it's Google designed inside and out, and that's why it's one of the greatest phones of this year, even though it's going to be lacking major features that the other flagships have worked on and perfected. And once again, I'm gonna be saying that, well, clearly the iPhone is king because it runs iOS, and if you don't want an iPhone and you want something powered by Android, get a Galaxy phone, because the Note 8 is going to blow people away and not in an explosive manner, and the Pixel 2 is going to be lacking major features, but it will be excused because it's designed by Google, and since it's made by Google, that makes it okay. It's going to cost the same as these flagships that are coming out, even though it should probably cost the same as a OnePlus 5, given all the features it'll be lacking. Those are my predictions for the Google Pixel 2. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And just FYI, I am out of town as you are watching this. I'm on vacation right now. I'm at a family reunion in San Diego, and I'm gonna be gone all this week, but luckily for you, I enslave myself to this channel and have scheduled uploads to come out every day that I am gone. It's very tiring to do this, but keep in mind that when I'm gone, there's still other channels you can check out by Tailosive. Very good friend of mine, Dan the Movie Man, is over at Tailosive Movie Reviews, uploading content on a daily basis. I really encourage you guys to check him out. Channel is small and growing, and we appreciate all feedback, and I'm gonna be over there too. So if you're into reviewing movies and talking about that kind of stuff, please check it out. He hopefully is still here, which means yes, all my videos this week are scheduled, so if there's big news, big leaks or something like that, I unfortunately won't be able to talk about it unless of course you follow me on Twitter and Instagram, because this is a pre-recorded message. Anyway, thanks for watching this one, guys. This is your Apple Sheep here, and I will see you in the next one.